Hi everybody, this is Todd Olthoff from toddolthoff.com coming back at you with another screencast. And this week we're going to take a look at how to bind clients to your server. In the last screencast we talked about Workgroup Manager. I kind of gave you a tour of Workgroup Manager, and you noticed when I came to, we talked about the accounts and account groups. When I come to computers and computer groups, I don't have any computers in here because I haven't bound any of the computers to the server. So I want to show you a couple of ways to be able to get information in here, and one of the simplest ways, like I said, is just to do a client bind. And I know that I've had a lot of people starting to ask questions about this and have problems with their ability to bind their clients to their fully qualified domain name. So what I'm going to do is show you how to do that today, but first let me do this. Let me just pop this down for a minute. I wanted to come into the airport utility, and I wanted to do this to point out one thing. What I found is that people have had problems when they go to bind to the server, that instead of their fully qualified domain name coming up, it's just their .local sort of bonjour version of their server. And you can certainly bind to that and be okay on your local network, but it becomes a problem when you go outside your network. So you really want to try to bind to your fully qualified domain name. Well, what will happen is that will not come up unless your server is seen as your primary source of DNS. So if you're using an airport utility configuration, you're allowing your airport to handle the DHCP as opposed to your server. You want to come into airport utility, and under the DNS server, under the internet tab here where it says DNS servers, you want to make sure that this has the IP address of your server here as the first server to look to for DNS. What can happen if you every once in a while, it might change back to maybe whatever your local ISP settings are or whatever. And so you want to check here. I experimented with it, and when I had my local server's my ISP's DNS here, anything other than my server, it wouldn't bring up my fully qualified domain name when I went to bind the server. It would only bring up .local. So I want to share that because I know there's some frustration I saw in some of the comments, and just wanted to give you that little piece of information right up front so you knew how that worked. Alright, so once you have that set and you know everything's good, then you go to your client. And I've got a screen share here that I want to pull up of a local client. You want to go into System Preferences, and you want to come down to your users and account groups here. So you click on this. Now, you can see if you come to your login options, you want to click this area, you'll see you've got a network account server here and the ability to join it. Now, in order to do that, you got to make sure that you click the lock and authenticate. I've already done that. And then you just click join. And again, I'm on a client computer right now. Now up here you'll see you've got this nice little drop down, and you'll see that I've got my server already pre-populated there. And like I said, for those of you where your server is not seen as the primary form of DNS, you would have instead of this a server.local address that would probably be sitting here, or whatever you've named your particular computer. So if you've got everything set up right, you'll see your fully qualified domain name here. Once you click that, you click OK, that you want to bind to the server. It asks if you want to trust the SSL certificate from this server. You want to say yes, I want to do that. You click trust. And then it gathers the information and takes us into this little login screen here, and it allows you to set your client's computer ID. And so you can set this as something that you'll remember. It kind of just defaults here. What I'm going to do is just say I'm going to just leave my name, and I'll just put MacBook Pro right there. And then you're going to put username and password in this field. And what you're going to want to do is use your directory administrator username and password so that everything will show up in your Workgroup Manager under there. So I'm just going to put that in right now. And then I click OK to bind to the server. And so it goes, and it's starting to bind, as you can see here. And we'll wait for that process to take place. It might take a few minutes to do that. And then once it's done, then everything should be set on the computer, and your computer will be bound to your server. You can see it's adding server. Everything's working okay. You can already see that we've got the change down here, and now you can see that my particular client computer now is bound to the server. It's got the green dot there. And you'll notice that I've also got the ability to check allow network users to log in at the login window. so that when I log out, other network users can use my computer to log in. And I can click Options here. If you want to say that, you can say all network users can log in at the login window on this computer, or only these, and you can limit it to just the few that you want to have happen, the ones that are on your directory server, and you can add those names in there. I'm just going to leave this alone. So that's how you bind your client to. Okay, here we are back on Workgroup Manager, and you can see that now my computer has been added over here into Workgroup Manager. I didn't have anything before, but you can see it's added the computer that I just bound to the directory server. It's got my hardware UID down here, and like I showed before, it's got the network with my Ethernet ID. So that way I know it's all set up, it's added, and now I can do things with it. Now you have the ability to add URLs down here if you want to manage the computer preferences and things, but it's not really required to manage the preferences. You don't have to put this information in, but you do have the option to do that if you want to put some limits on it. Now that's one way you can get your computers in there and bind them to the server. There's other ways you can get them into Workgroup Manager as well, and let me show you how that works. One of the things you can do is you can just come up here and say New Computer to add a new computer to the information on the side. Put in their name and short name and all that information. You can put in the network information here if you know the Ethernet ID, and so you could manually add a computer onto here as well. That's another way that you can do it. It takes a little bit more work because you got to look some things up, but it's one way, I'm going to delete this, that you can get a computer into the system. Another way you can do it is if you come over here to the computer groups area, and if you just add a new computer group, title it whatever you want to. But if you come over here to the members area and you click this little 3 dots right here, it scours your network to find computers that are on your network, and you can see I've got one right here that I haven't bound to the server in an authenticated way, in a trusted way, so it will show up in my computer groups. But I could just click right here and have this particular computer now added to the server in such a way that it's trusted. So if I just click Add, it's going to actually now add it, and you can see now it is in this work group. And if I go over to my computers, let me save it. And there, now it is over here on my computers as well. And so the information is showing up, and there's his his computer. So that gives you a couple of options on how to get your computers added into Workgroup Manager. What I'm going to do in future screencasts is show you how you can manage these computers as well as your users and things and their preferences right here from within Workgroup Manager. So that's all I have for this week. I'll be back at you next week with another screencast to help you learn how to do more things with your Mac.